Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to a brand new mod spotlight on thermal expansion. This is a mod that a lot of people have requested I spotlight, and I checked it out maybe a month ago or so and thought it was awesome. I'm like, dude, this mod rocks. So I contact the mod author and he's like, I have a new version coming out soon, and if you want to film one now, go for it. But the new version is going to be even cooler, and there's all this other stuff going on. Like, if you want, you can wait for the new version. So I said, okay, sure. So King Lemming is the developer of Thermalcraft, and he said, let's hang on off, and now he has this version out. It should be out as of the time of this video going up. If not, it'll be up literally within a couple hours, maybe a day or so. So if it's not up already and available for the public, keep an eye on his forum thread, which as always is linked in the description of this video, and you can go download it. So it's time to spotlight thermal expansion. So what's this mod all about? It's all about Buildcraft, believe it or not. It's pretty much built as an add-on to Buildcraft, though I think for the most part you could probably use it as a standalone mod. It adds all kinds of neat different blocks that use Buildcraft Power. It adds a new energy net system for Buildcraft Power, and it adds an energy storage system for Buildcraft Power, believe it or not, as well as a couple new engines and other gadgets and toys. The blocks are awesome. Just wait until you see them. They're really neat. So without further ado, how about I start showing you what all these different blocks are, how they work, and how they interact together in thermal expansion. Let's go. Alright guys, as this is a Buildcraft Power system, I set up some basic Buildcraft engines that you're familiar with, and then I'll go into the other advanced stuff in a moment. But I want to show you first the blocks that you can get in the different machines that can be powered by Buildcraft Power. The very first one is not something that's going to be too scary to you until you check out the interface and the awesomeness of it. But trust me, it's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and warm up these engines here, get them running, and then it's time to check out the powered furnace. Now the powered furnace is a pretty cool little machine. First off, it's got a side slot here. You can tell how much energy is stored in it, the maximum amount of power that it's going to use, and the power usage. And you can see this little blue bar filled up as all our engines started to produce power for us. So that's pretty cool. We can go ahead and turn off this lever here, and we can just, to stop the power flow for the moment. And we're going to go ahead and throw some cobblestone into this slot here, which is of course the input slot. You can see it's using now 2 Minecraft joules per tick to cook up cobblestone and create stone. Now the interesting thing about this is you should note that it's actually taking the item out of the slot before it cooks it. That's pretty cool and a good thing to note. It won't stop when you take the items out. So do pay attention to that because the item comes out of the slot, gets cooked, and then gets placed over here. Pretty neat. That's how a lot of the machines work, so I just wanted to point that out to you. So pretty cool. Place an item in, it instantly gets, put somewhere, hiding, and then placed in here. So now that it's done, its power usage is at 0, maximum power that it's going to use is 2, and the energy stored is quickly going down because we turned it off. You can see it's not even going to use full power when it doesn't have any more items in here. That's the cool thing about this system is it kind of, adjusts the power usage of the machine itself. It's pretty smart about how it adjusts it too. So pay attention. You can see it's already starting to slow down a little bit here because it's not using quite as much power as it could. Now if I start feeding it more power through the engines there, you should see it's going to start ramping up and it's going to go ahead and move faster. So that's the neat thing about the system is it has an energy store, but the more energy in the store, the faster it's going to run. Pretty cool. Now the other thing to note here is this neat little redstone thing, enabled low. The way this works is you can tell it, and almost every machine in thermal expansion can be told what this setting. First off, whether or not it's controlled by redstone in any way. So right now it is being controlled by redstone, but if I didn't want redstone to affect this block at all, I could simply turn off this button. Redstone control status is disabled. Now redstone will not affect this block at all. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on, make it enabled. Right now, the signal required is low, meaning no redstone signal means the machine will run. Okay. However, if I apply a redstone signal to it, like this, the machine will turn off after it finishes its next cycle. See? Nothing's happening. So signal required to run is redstone signal off. Turn the redstone signal on, it's going to run again. Sweet. Yeah, pretty cool. Now if I set the status to requires high, then when the redstone signal is off, it won't run. And when the redstone signal is on, it will run. So you can specify exactly what effects redstone has on all the machines in thermal expansion using this setup. So right now it's not getting a redstone signal. It requires one to run, so it's not running. Set it to low, and it requires one not to be on. You could also, of course, just have control status disabled, and it'll always be on. Pretty cool. The next thing you might have noticed is that these interfaces here are blue and orange. What's the deal with that? Well, most machines inside this mod have these little blue and orange sides to them. And if you click on the green configuration tab, you'll note that there's these different sides here. These are the input and output slots. The color of the square on the side matches the inventory slot that the item's going to go into. So that when you pump items into a blue side of this furnace, it'll go into this slot. And when you pump items out of an orange side of this furnace, it'll pull them from this slot. Pretty neat. And you can adjust this by clicking on your configuration. This is the left side, the right side, top, bottom, and the back. Now the really cool thing about this is the block and world actually updates to make it really clear what's going on. So if I change it so that the top of this machine can output, I click right there. Now it's orange. The top of the machine is orange. Whoa, awesome. Click again, right click to go back to blue. You can also set it to this mode, which doesn't care pretty much which slot it's from. It's more of a red power 2 compatibility, I believe. And then this mode means it's disabled, meaning you can't plump items into or out of that side of the block. Pretty awesome. So you can adjust this and make it however you want it to go. So let's give it a shot real quick. What I'm going to do is set up a real quick system to demonstrate this. Alright, so let's check it out. I'm simply going to place a wooden pipe on the blue side, which is right now the input slide. Right, so anything that goes into the blue side of the powered furnace will get cooked. Let's go ahead and make that happen now. Ta-da! Rocking and rolling. Now the next thing is that it's going to go ahead and pop right in here, and it's going to cook itself, and it's automatically going to be turned into smooth stone. Pretty nice. Now the cool thing about these guys is most of them will automatically eject into an adjacent pipe without having to be pumped out with a wooden pipe. So if I just push a piece of smooth stone piping there, it's going to automatically eject its smooth stone right into that chest. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and put let's do a iron chest right up top here. So if I put smooth stone here, because this is the blue side, it's not going to be outputting up to the top. Blue is where the input comes in. But I'm going to change that. I'm going to make this guy blue. Okay, so let's see what happens now when a piece of cobble goes in there. And we don't have to pump it in anymore. We can just make this happen quicker. So because this guy is now blue, he's no longer outputting items out that side. I'm going to make the top the output by clicking this button. Now the top is the output, the orange there, and we should see items start to flow through the tube. Awesome. So the pipes are working, everything's doing what it should be, and yeah, awesomeness. Most of the machines in this mod have this ability. This is why I showed you the powered furnace first. It should be pretty easy for you guys to follow along and understand, and yeah, it's awesome. This whole configuration screen is available, like I said, on most of these blocks. Now the next block I want to show you is called the pulverizer. Guess what this thing does? It's pretty easy to understand. It's basically a macerator, but it's a little bit different. You can see that it does a lot of different things. You can pulverize stone into cobblestone into sand, and sometimes you'll get a little bit of gravel out of that. That's what this bottom slot here is for. And note that the bottom slot has its own color. So you can now, with this machine, have three different things. Input is blue. That's over here on this side. Output is red. That's your normal output for your stone or whatever. And then any extra output that you might get from the pulverizer comes out the top. So that's pretty neat. There's a bunch of extra outputs that you can get too. You can note that if you're macerating sandstone, you'll occasionally get this material called niter, which is used, and you can also macerate obsidian into pulverized obsidian. You can pulverize your netherrack into cobblestone and occasionally get some sulfur from it. And you can use sulfur for a couple different things. For now, you can pulverize it into sulfur dust. You can also use it with the mod with some niter and coal to get gunpowder. Nice. Sulfur dust, however, you can use to make your sulfur torches from Zycraft. You can also use it for factorization stuff, and you can use it with saltpeter, which is a railcraft item, to get yourself some gunpowder. So lots of options to use that stuff for. The pulverizer can also work as a macerator in that it doubles your output from your ores. So you can go ahead, if we find it here, get gold ore, and that can be converted into 2 pulverized gold. Pretty neat. Now the other thing to note about this is sometimes you can get some other stuff from pulverizing. So for example, with copper ore, you'll get 2 pulverized copper, but you have a 5% chance to get some pulverized gold. So every now and then you can get a little bit of gold out of your copper. And for tin, for example, you can sometimes get iron from it, 5% chance. So just a neat little extra thing. Now this mod does add several ores of its own. It adds silver, it adds lead. You can see pulverized lead here. One of the blocks here is lead. There it is. So it adds silver, lead, copper, and tin. That's the world gen that thermal adds. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead and pulverize ourselves some gold. Pretty easy to do. Gold ore. And if you guys are at all confused about what to do and how to use this mod, NEI is going to be your friend here. It'll tell you how much Minecraft joules it requires to pulverize things and all kinds of other cool stuff. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and pulverize a little bit of gold. You can see it working right now. So it's going to go ahead and put the pulverized gold right here on the right. Now the next part is epic. You ready for this? Machines can be placed next to each other and they'll immediately transfer their items in between each other if the side configuration is set up properly. What this means is the side on the right here, this guy, is set to red. Okay, and red is the output slot for pulverized gold. Now remember with my furnace that the left side is set up to blue, and blue is the input for your powered furnace, right? Right. So let's go ahead and place these two machines right next to each other and see what happens. You ready for this? Boom. Pulverized gold disappeared. Automatically went into the blue side of the powered furnace. And if I hook this guy up to a bit of power right now, we'd be cooking up some good stuff. Let's do that right now. Ta-da! Powered furnace is getting power and cooking up its items. Now if we wanted to, we could pump these out the orange side or do whatever we want. It doesn't matter. But basically, these machines will connect to each other, and this works on all sides. So if I placed a machine on top, it would be able to collect things from the yellow output, but if I wanted to, I could change the red output to be on the top, and then put the machine on top there, the furnace could cook it from the top. So many options that are available to you guys that it's crazy. Yeah. You guys should be able to see how awesome this mod is already. And if you haven't, just wait, because there's even more cool stuff coming up. So let's go ahead and get this stuff out of here. And just to demonstrate that you can do this, I'm going to take the powered furnace. And I'm going to place it on top of the machine. Okay, now they're both getting power. Plenty of it. And remember, we want to set the top output to be red. There we go. Top output is red. Notice this doesn't have a color now because there are no outputs that are yellow. That's a problem. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead and just put some gold ore in here. That should get pulverized into some dust and then dropped directly into the powered furnace, provided that the bottom slot of the powered furnace is set to accept items. It's currently not. See that? No blue square there. So the items won't move up. Until we tell the furnace here, go ahead and accept items from the bottom, then it'll start getting the pulverized gold from the pulverizer. Awesome. You ready to see some more? I thought you might be. Let's check out the Sawmill. The Sawmill is kind of a pulverizer for wood. If you go ahead and process your oak wood in a sawmill, you'll get 6 wooden planks instead of just 4. You'll also 100% of the time get some sawdust. Sawdust can be combined in a crafting table to go ahead and get yourself some compressed sawdust, and you can go ahead and cook that into charcoal. Pretty neat. So nice way to get yourself a little bit of extra charcoal. Other recipes for the sawmill include the ability to break down items. So if you have a note block, you can get back your wood and your redstone. If you have a bed, you can get back your oak planks and your wool. Pretty cool. Same for books from a bookshelf and your wood. Chest can get you wooden planks back, etc., etc. One other thing to note is you can chew up some rubber wood. That'll get you some jungle wood planks, and 1/3 of the time you'll get sticky resin. You can do the same with red power rubber wood. Note that you can just, with Industrial Craft installed, extract rubber wood and get 1 rubber, or 1/3 of the time from rubber wood you'll get sticky resin, which will give you 3 rubber. So it's pretty much exactly what you'd get, but awesome. So that's the Sawmill, and of course it has outputs and all that cool stuff. It also has the redstone control and the energy usage. Next up, we have a neat little device called the Induction Smelter. Now this guy is a little bit different than what you might expect having the word induction in it. It's not an induction furnace, it's an induction smelter. Now this machine is a little bit more expensive than you might expect, There's a bunch of materials here that's used for it, but we'll get into what all this stuff is about in a moment. I haven't been showing you recipes for things, but you'll see what they are. The Induction Smelter is a pretty neat device. It's basically a pulverizer and a furnace in one, but note that it requires 4 Minecraft joules per tick, so twice as much energy to do the task. Now, if you check out the recipes here, you'll see that you need to keep sand in the left-hand slot. Ta-da, right over here. And in the right-hand slot, you need to put your gold ore. So you can't just put gold ore in here and have it smelted and double it. Nope, not going to happen. You have to keep a steady supply of sand going into the smelter in order for that to happen. You'll also get some slag as an output, which can be used for a couple different things. Right now, rock wool, which I'll get into in a minute. It's basically just wool that doesn't burn. So there you go, that's rock wool. You can also do the same if you have pulverized gold. You're still only going to get 2 gold ingots from 2 pulverized gold, so you're not going to be doubling if you use the dusts. But you can have to use the induction smelter for some other combination recipes that require multiple things. For example, you need to combine pulverized obsidian and pulverized lead with in the induction smelter in order to get yourself hardened glass, which is a material used for some more advanced items down the line. Yeah, pretty awesome stuff coming, trust me. So yeah, that's the way this thing works. So sand plus your material will get you double the ore output, or you can just use it to get yourself the hardened glass. There'll also be some more recipes coming out in the future, which you can use this thing for to get it going, and it'll do cool stuff for you. So keep it filled with sand, plenty of gold ingots. All right, let's continue along the line of all kinds of nifty machines that are part of this mod. Next up, we've got the Magma Crucible. Now you can see this guy stores quite a bit of energy. Right now it's building up to about 24,000 Minecraft joules. The reason for this is because this thing does require quite a bit of power to get going. You can see here that its maximum power at any time is 20 Minecraft joules per tick, which is a lot. That's 4 combustion engines running on fuel, or 4 biofuel engines, something along those lines. The recipes, however, are pretty neat. For 20,000 Minecraft joules, which is a pretty big buildup of energy, you can go ahead and convert cobblestone into a bucket of lava. And you can do the same for smooth stone. You can take 20,000 and convert obsidian to lava. And for 4,000 Minecraft joules, you can melt down your netherrack into lava. But what this machine's really used for is melting down redstone, and we'll get into what this stuff is all about in just a bit. But keep in mind the Magma Crucible can pretty much get you a good amount of lava, provided that you have a strong amount of Buildcraft energy available to you. Netherrack probably being your best bet, but if you're in a pinch, you can go ahead and use cobblestone. Just keep in mind it takes a lot of energy to melt that stone all the way down to lava. Considering that we have a way to get lava, it shouldn't surprise you that we also have a way to get water. A pretty simple machine called the Aqueous Accumulator. Now this guy does not need energy. You can see that the Buildcraft energy pipe does not connect to the machine, and there's no energy flowing through the lines because this machine doesn't need energy. It's kind of like the Railcraft tanks and maybe a couple other things that will basically continuously collect water from the environment. Now it does need to have a water source nearby to run more efficiently. So go ahead and set up a water source nearby and you should get a good amount of water. Otherwise it's going to collect out of the environment, and you can see that you can pretty much just output on all sides. There's really no amount of output. Pretty cool. The Aqueous Accumulator is a nice way to collect water when you don't want to use the pumps with an infinite water source, because those can sometimes dry up when you're not wanting them to. Now, I just showed you guys a couple pretty cool machines, right? I showed you the magma generating machine. This guy here, the Magma Crucible. So I'm going to place him down. He does need power, so I'm going to put him right there. That sounds like a nice spot for a Magma Crucible, and we'll let him build up a nice charge. There you go, building up. And I also showed you a nice machine called the Aqueous Accumulator. Ta-da! And that guy is going to collect water. Pretty neat. For now, I'm going to turn off the output of these guys. Just so this doesn't output, it's going to continuously fill up. See? No output sides. The reason I did that is because there's another machine I want to show you called the Igneous Extruder. This guy is cool. He accepts lava from one side and water from the other side. And what's he going to do for you? Well, he's going to make cobblestone, smooth stone, or obsidian. Pretty awesome. You can see he's set up so that all sides except the blue, so you'll be able to fill up your tanks from any side. And because these thermal expansion machines will connect directly to each other, you don't have to have pipes running between them. If I open up the left side to drain liquids out, you can see it's all getting drained directly into the right side of the Igneous Extruder. Pretty cool. And we can do the same thing with the Magma Crucible. You know, just let's go ahead and get ourselves some netherrack. You know, even though we're cheating and, you know, using NEI here, we might as well be a little efficient. So you can see, using quite a bit of power right now, using 20 Minecraft joules per tick to create ourselves some lava. Where's that lava going to go? It's going to go into the left side of this Igneous Extruder. Cool. Now, because we have cobblestone selected here, for free, for nothing, it's not draining the lava and it's not draining the water. It's going to go ahead and create cobblestone. So this is basically a cobblestone generator in a block. You can go ahead and export the item through the top if you want. I can just go ahead and, you know, put some stone transport pipes up here, and ta-da, we're getting cobblestone. How cool is that? Pretty sweet, huh? Yep, the cobblestone will be generated for free. You don't have to continuously supply new stuff to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn off the output here. I'm going to turn off this output as well. So you can see now we've got water and lava, and we're not getting any more. And we're not draining any at all. So cobblestone generator, just like in-game, it generates cobblestone for no cost. Now if you want, you can generate smooth stone just like you can in-game. Now in-game, smooth stone is a little bit free, but you do need to keep supplying water to make that happen. So the same thing happens here with the Igneous Extruder. It also uses a very, very small amount of lava, like incredibly small amounts. So keep that in mind. Pretty cool. Oh yeah. And once you get enough water built up in here, you'll see that it'll go ahead and create more smooth stone. Pretty nice. Now obsidian, of course, is the same way. It works just by selecting the obsidian, and there goes the smooth stone right now. But of course, with obsidian, you're going to need to use up the lava source blocks, just like you would in the real game. So go ahead and choose obsidian, and it'll drain some lava, a bucket worth of lava, as well as a bucket worth of water for every transaction. As you can see, we're about to hit 1 bucket's worth, and then it'll drain both the lava and the water and get us a nice piece of obsidian. Way to go, Igneous Extruder. That's pretty cool. Of course, you could pump liquids in here using Buildcraft pipes if you wanted to. And since we got to the liquids part of the demonstration, I think it's probably a good idea to talk about the glacial precipitator. Again, requires energy, so you can see the connection happens, the energy flows, and it builds up a nice charge inside. This guy can take water and convert it into snowballs, snow, or ice for differing amounts of energy. You can see here the configuration is pretty similar. And if I were to open up and let the water come in, I'm going to go ahead and set this redstone status to requiring power, so that when I open up the gates on the left-hand side of this guy, it'll drain the water in, and you'll see that it'll fill up a bucket's worth, and we can choose which of these 3 we want. I'm going to go ahead and choose ice, and I'll allow the machine to run by disabling the need for redstone. Boom. You can see that it drains a bucket of water out and created a piece of ice. So cool. And the final machine from thermal expansion is the liquid transposer. Again, requires some energy. This guy is pretty neat. You can see there's a lot of recipes. Basically, the liquid transposer will drain liquids into an empty bucket and give you a bucket, so it's pretty much a bucket filler, but it can also do the reverse. It can do the opposite in that it can put liquids out of a can or a bucket and dump them out into the machine's inventory. Pretty slick, huh? Oh yeah. Pretty cool. All you have to do is click the button here to change the mode. You can see that it alternates. So now liquid is the output, now liquid is the input. And you can see the color change and the direction change. Pretty sweet, huh? Now this thing here is the output for it, and as you can see in the recipes, you can get a bucket and you can get a water bucket from it. And this is a pretty nice way to fill buckets. There's also an important use of this in the liquid redstone stuff, which I'm about to get to. Also note that when you fill up cans, it works pretty well. And if you want to empty out the cans, let's see, I don't know if that shows in here. But you can also empty cans and you'll wind up getting stuff back, which is pretty neat. So if I went and got myself a capsule, because we're using energy to empty out these capsules, I guess it's being a little bit more preserved. You can see when I'm emptying it out, we get back the wax capsules, which is kind of nice. I like that a lot, actually. Of course, it does require a little bit of energy, not too much though, just 2 Minecraft joules per tick. If I wanted to, I just click the button to reverse this, and it'll go ahead and drain the liquids into the capsules. So cool. So guys, I've talked about all the different machines that can use power. Now let's talk about more ways of generating power and transmitting power, because thermal expansion here gives you some energy storage and transmission techniques that kind of improve upon the vanilla Buildcraft design. First, let's talk about a couple engines. Two very basic ones, both pretty simple and straightforward to explain. I'm going to go ahead and place one down here and one down over here. And let's get them streaming, and we'll show you how it works. Alright, let's check out the steam engine. This one's kind of been in existence for a bit, so don't get all, hey, copying from Railcraft on me, because definitely not. The steam engine works pretty similar to the Railcraft one. Don't mind saying that, because it does. You just get some water and some coal going on, and you place it in there. And you can see it's starting to run. Now, the cool thing about the steam engine here, and this is just kind of a neat aspect, note that it's currently generating about 0.4, 0.5 Minecraft joules per tick. The energy is probably going and getting stored inside the Magma Crucible here. You can see it kind of building up. Pretty cool, right? The steam engine is going to go ahead and run and run and run, and it'll eventually build itself up to a decent amount of energy output. The other cool thing about it is it has the same redstone control mechanics, so I didn't have to put a torch or a lever on this thing if I didn't want to. It'll just go ahead and automatically run by itself all the time, continuously running, until, I either change the redstone requirement or whatever. So you can see here, we're still outputting more energy. We're getting up to about 1.4 Minecraft joules per tick. I'm going to let this thing heat up all the way and see how it goes. So yeah, we can see that this thing is currently at 2 Minecraft joules per tick, going pretty good. Now, an interesting thing about these engines is when connected directly to the machines in thermal expansion, let me go ahead and get one of those furnaces. So remember, the furnace in this guy requires 2 Minecraft joules per tick, and this machine's going to output 2 Minecraft joules per tick. Look at that, how convenient. So you can see it's starting to build up a nice power source inside. And if we take a look at the engine, it's outputting 2 Minecraft joules per tick. Pretty cool, right? Oh yeah, pretty cool. I'm going to let the internal power thing fill up to almost full and then be right back. Alright, here we go. Almost a full machine. Now watch what happens to the energy output when this machine no longer needs power. Let's check this out. Pretty full. Now what's going to happen here is the steam engine here should start self-lowering, just to make sure that it's not going to, waste fuel. So we'll give it a moment here. Once it's stored a good amount of energy, it's going to start lowering its own output. And there we go. As soon as we pass the 4,000 mark, it starts scaling itself down to restrict the amount of coal and water being used. Yep. It's pretty much lowering itself to say, like, hey, obviously I don't have anywhere to send this power, so I'm going to start slowing myself down. However, it's still building up a good amount of heat inside, and if this power keeps building up internally and has nowhere to go, the steam engine won't explode, but it will, kind of shut down and start smoking, and you have to give it a good whack with the wrench here to get it back up and running. So it's not going to, explode and destroy stuff, but it will shut itself down, so keep that in mind. But it's pretty cool. Once you've got the power output here, it's going to go ahead and do its thing. Pretty slick though, I like it. Now while I'm waiting for that thing to shut down to show you what it looks like, I might as well show you the other engine, the magmatic engine. This guy's pretty neat and pretty simple, powered by lava. That's right, lava-powered Buildcraft engine. It's going to go ahead and ramp up and store a good amount of energy and start pumping it out. Now, just for those of you who don't know Buildcraft mechanics, a wooden pipe here will always take all the energy that's in the engine and dump it out. That's why this energy is constantly dumping and going nowhere. It's the wooden engine doing that. So this machine has no control over where the energy goes. It's just putting it into the machine that's accepting it, which is the wooden engine. And hey, my steam-powered engine, it shut down. So you can see here, the energy stored is dropping, the heat level's dropping. It's basically like, hey, I'm smoking, I'm broken, you ran me too long, I overheated. I didn't blow up though, so be happy. Right-click with the wrench, and he's back up and running. Pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and turn him off. There we go, it'll let him cool down. Nice work. So the magma engine here is still building up a good amount of power. Let's see how high it goes. And there you go, you can see 4 Minecraft joules per tick is the output of the magmatic engine. So now that we've seen the engines on the way to produce some more Buildcraft energy using this mod, ways to use it, let's check out the energy net and storage system. This thing is really pretty cool. First off, we've got the redstone energy cell. I'm going to walk you through the steps of this guy. You're going to need an energy storage frame, which requires electrum ingots. I'll tell you how to make those in a second. The hardened glass, which I showed you earlier, and a diamond. Hardened glass is just pulverized obsidian and pulverized lead, or pulverized obsidian and lead ingots in an induction smelter. Pretty neat. You can use the hardened glass for quite a few recipes, both for the energy conduit and the energy storage frame. Now you're also going to need some electrum ingots. Those guys are pretty simple to make. You just get yourselves an electrum blend and cook it up. And the electrum blend is made by pulverized silver and pulverized gold. Get you electrum blend. Pretty cool. Once you have that stuff going, finally you're going to need a redstone conductance coil, and that will give you redstone and an electrum ingot again. So electrum's a pretty important part of all this crazy stuff that you can make here. The redstone conduction coil is used primarily for this energy storage. Now once you have an empty energy storage cell, it's pretty cool to get. Let's get a cell, an empty one here. That one's not placeable in the world. So, let's find that item. There it is. So the energy storage frame, you can see here, and then the energy storage empty. Energy storage frame used to make the energy storage empty. Okay, so the energy storage empty is not placeable in the world. What you need to do is infuse it with liquid redstone. Not too bad. Simply get a Magma Crucible here and start filling it up with energy. I'm going to break this guy, or let's see, how much is this in here? Yeah, I'll get myself the liquid transposer. We'll allow the input from the side, and then we'll collect the lava. Good, nice and empty. All you gotta do is throw some redstone in here. Ta-da! And the Magma Crucible will go ahead and get going. All I gotta do is allow the machine to run, and you can see it's going to start melting your redstone down into liquid redstone. Now the liquid redstone is immediately being transported over here to the liquid transposer because of the way it's going. So you can see liquid redstone filling up in the transposer. Pretty cool. The recipe for a redstone energy cell is you need 2,000 or 2 buckets worth of liquid redstone to go into the energy storage, and then you have a redstone energy cell. So your liquid redstone here is basically the component that allows the storage and transmission of energy in thermal expansion. And I'll show you that in just a moment once we build up enough redstone, liquid redstone. Alright guys, as you can see, we got about a little bit more than 3 buckets from our stack of redstone there. So you're going to need about 2/3 of a stack to get yourself the one filler of stuff. So place our energy storage empty in our liquid transposer here, and it's going to start draining all that liquid redstone directly into that energy filler, and you'll wind up with a redstone energy cell. This guy is cool. He can store Buildcraft energy. Now the redstone energy conduit, as you saw, needs about 50 MB, so about, barely, a little bit, very little bit. 5% of a bucket, I want to say? Yeah. Energy conduit, empty. Goes into redstone energy conduit. And the energy conduit empty is just that electrum ingot and hardened glass. You get 8 of those guys. Pretty cool. So your redstone energy conduit and your redstone energy cell. These guys are pretty neat. I'm going to go ahead and knock this stuff off. Now, if I go ahead and connect this energy conduit to this thing, you can see it's going to start pumping up. And we can just run this, and it works just pretty much like some cabling. Pretty cool. It will store and transmit Buildcraft energy and place down this guy in the world, and he's going to go ahead and start absorbing energy. Now the cool thing about this thing is you can adjust the maximum input allowed and the maximum output allowed. Now right now it's not building up any energy. Why is that? Well, we actually have a little indication here of how the energy goes in and out of the machine. When we right click on this block, connected to an engine of course, you can see that it's going to go ahead and adjust, and it's got this neat little arrow here that it shows. If we check our block right now, we'll see we're still not getting anything. That's because this arrow is pointing at the engine. Okay, and we're not going to try and put energy into the engine, we're trying to get energy out, so we have to right click again, and now we can see the arrows pointing along that way of the pipe. And if we check this guy out, we'll see we're still not getting any energy. That's because this arrow needs to point into the machine. Now we should start getting energy. So pretty cool, look at that, we're building up energy, awesome. And you can see here our Minecraft power, 4 Minecraft joules per tick. And all the energy is being transmitted there, pretty cool. Now we can adjust this to say how much input and output we're going to allow, so we don't, overtax our system. If we want, we can adjust this to say only give me 2 Minecraft joules per tick. You can see it's building up a bit slower now. Check this out down here now. Note that we're, creating the 4 Minecraft joules per tick, and it's going out somewhere. All right, we're going to try this again because it does take a little while for this to fill up. The pipes here have to store the energy, and that's what was happening here. So you can see now the energy is being stored in the engine because I disabled the input. So no longer can this guy accept input of energy, but if I bump it up maybe to say 5 or 10 or, give me as much as you got, it's going to go ahead and accept it and drain it. Pretty nice. So all the energy is being dumped directly out there. And just like when we connect it to this machine here with the steam engine, the magma engine and steam engine will self-lower themselves. So if we did turn this off, once this thing built up a huge supply of internal energy, it's going to go ahead and start ratcheting down its power. Pretty slick. Now this block here can store a bunch of energy. Right now I'm going to turn off its output, so it can't output anything. I'm going to get myself one of those furnaces. Let's go ahead, furnace. And place it right down here. Cool. I'm going to connect some power to it. Nice. You can see no energy is flowing into the powered furnace. And by default, when you connect a pipe to a block here, it looks like it is always facing away. So you can see the arrows pointing down the pipe to this guy, the powered furnace, not getting any Minecraft joules. I'm going to right-click to increment this by 1. And you can see now it's slowly filling up with energy. Pretty neat. It's getting drained out of the internal storage of here. I can bump this guy up and it'll start, outputting a lot faster. Nice. Pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. So that's the storage block. You can adjust how much it outputs, and you can turn it off the output and all that kind of cool stuff. Now, in order to break these pipes, you're going to want to hold shift and right click on the conduits. And the best part about doing it this way, you can break the blocks and the machine and the conduits with a drill, but do it this way. Trust me. Because what's cool, check this out. You'll really like this part, I think. I'm going to go ahead and adjust that guy and adjust that guy. So the power is flowing in again, right? Right. So how much power do we have in here? 22,000 out of the maximum storage of 500,000? Well, if I break this with the wrench, it's going to continue to have a charge. Look at that. Its charge is 23,186. So the redstone energy cell that I've got in my inventory here that I just picked up has a bit of charge. And you can also see the send and receive settings that I left. It was receiving 40 and sending 0. I can go now and place that in the world elsewhere, and it's going to go ahead and still maintain its charge. Look at that. Awesome. We can go ahead and connect our power line now, and we can see it's not going to output energy until I say you're allowed to. And then it can again. How cool. Very cool. Yep, nice and filled up. So it just drained a little bit of that power. Let's go ahead and connect these guys again. Now you'll note that it's currently draining power still. That's because it was filling up the line. So now that this line is full and the machine is full, it's no longer draining, even though it's allowed to. Okay, we can go ahead and connect this guy up again. It'll start filling. So cool, isn't it? And you can, of course, fill these with, regular old golden conductive pipes, which I'll run along now. So if I run this guy straight into here and break this just to make sure there's no wastage of energy, we'll see this thing starting to fill up even faster. Pretty nice. I'm going to actually bump this guy up to, just accept as much as you can. And you can see the blue bar filling up here. It looks pretty cool once it fills all the way up. And guys, that about wraps it up. The only other thing I want to show you is the hardened glass and the rock wool. Let's see, hardened glass. No, that's not right. Hardened glass. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. This stuff can be placed in the world as well as used in a few recipes, as you saw. It's pretty good stuff. You can. It's pretty much TNT resistant, so shouldn't have to worry about explosions from TNT. Doubt it's nuke resistant though, so I wouldn't recommend it for that purpose. And if you want to get it back, you can break it, or you can shift right click with a wrench to get it back without having to break it and lose it. Not too shabby. And the rock wool is some pretty cool stuff. It's basically, you can see here, you've got your normal wool, and then you've got this rock wool stuff. You can see it's used in a bunch of different resources. You can pretty much put any type of rock wool around it, and the gray rock wool is the stuff that you can produce in smelting slag, which I showed you get as a byproduct from some of your induction smelting. Pretty cool stuff. That is basically just like wool that can be used to build your houses and stuff, but it's fire resistant. It has the same properties as rock, so it has the same explosion resistance and fire resistance as your rock would have. So there's no concern about lighting it on fire with some flint and tinder. Not going to spread, not going to burn. It'll eventually just burn out like normal fire on rock would. And guys, this about wraps up the thermal expansion mod. It's a pretty epic mod. I really think it is. It adds so many cool mechanics, different options for Buildcraft, lots of new machines, even engines, and an energy storage block of all things. Pretty awesome. The mod creator King Lemming has been assisted by the one and only Zeldo. You probably remember him from the original Teleport Pipes mod. He's been helping out, I think, with these energy conduits a bit. And he's also got a sprite guy. His name is Cynical, and he's been helping out with a lot of the textures and the sprites and all the kind of stuff that looks cool. So that's his artist. So pretty awesome mod. I'm really happy with it. I'm looking forward to see what he's adding in the future, because he does have future plans, lots of cool stuff, in the works. It's a mod that is just not done yet. And he's added so much. He was really excited to get this energy net thing going. That was the biggest, most recent update. So this is Direwolf20 signing off on the thermal expansion mod. Definitely recommend you guys check it out. It's really a lot of fun and adds a lot to Buildcraft. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed watching this. And as always, take it easy.